Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have some breaking news on Palantir. The reason I said breaking 3 times is because we have 3 new forms of breaking news. Number 1, Palantir hired a new sales director for their operations that previously had roles at Oracle, and he led about $16 billion of sales for Oracle. Number 2, Palantir is hiring 1,000 new employees. And number 3, Palantir just launched in Germany. Let's get into it. Okay, first up, Palantir appoints Philip Matthew as president of Palantir EMEA. So reading off the press release, Palantir Technologies announced the appointment of Philip Matthew as the head of the company's Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. Matthew will be responsible for driving the expansion of Palantir across the EMEA region, a role he previously held at Oracle, where he was the executive vice president for overall sales and for the Oracle business, accounting to $16 billion in revenue. Now, why is this important? Number 1, Palantir is having a huge sales and marketing problem. When I mean huge, I mean it is relative to the fact that they don't get their product into enough doors because they were never focused on selling the product. They were always focused on creating the product. As a result, the creation of the product and the heavy focus on creation of the product led to a phenomenal product, led to a product that really doesn't have that much competition, but it also led to a product that isn't sellable in its current state because they haven't really figured out sales and marketing. This guy, our boy Philip, you know how I say Shyam Sankar's our boy? Philip is now our boy because he was responsible for about $16 billion of revenue when he was working at Oracle. For those who don't know Oracle, one of the most biggest software companies in the world, you can look it up. The fact that he was vice president of sales at Oracle for a specific region, and now Palantir is pointing to that guy to lead their sales in that same region to basically do what he did for Oracle, which $16 billion of revenue, if we can get even a little tiny part of that, that would be massive for the company. A couple of quotes from our boy Palantir's COO Shyam Sankar. Philip is an experienced leader with demonstrated success at building and scaling sales teams across large markets. I'm excited to have Philip and his decades of experience as we fuel the fellowship across the region. Palantir has become the operating system of choice for enterprises, and the demand is growing exponentially, Matthew said. This is the new guy. I'm thrilled to join the company who employs the best engineers in the industry and to continue the acceleration of our global footprint. Another reason this is really important to me is because this guy left Oracle, and Oracle is a phenomenal company, for Palantir. And the reason it seems like that he actually joined Palantir, outside of the ridiculous amount of money they probably gave him, is that Palantir has become the operating system of choice for the enterprise, and the demand is growing exponentially. When the vice president of a former company of sales that did $16 billion of revenue in the region that they were producing sales for is now joining Palantir because they believe the demand is growing exponentially, and they believe that they can actually become the operating system, the Windows and Mac for the entire enterprise, that is a really good sign. I am more than excited to have this guy part of our team. Don't know too much about him, but based on his history and based on how excited Palantir is to have him, and based on the fact that he's working in the same region that he worked in Oracle to produce those types of sales, I think this is going to be really big for Palantir. Now, this Philip guy is really good at scaling sales teams. And just recently, Justin Reed, one of the Palantir head leaders in Canada, said, "We are solving the world's most important problems. Will you join us?" This is a post on LinkedIn. "We will be hiring for 1,000 plus roles at this year in Palantir. If you're interested in learning about the potential hiring opportunities, you can click the link below." 1,000 new roles for Palantir, and they just hired a guy who's leading the new sales division at a certain region. To me, this means a majority of these 1,000 roles are not going to be engineers. These are going to be salespeople. I think they are ramping up their sales and marketing. I think they're ramping up how to get the best people in the world that know how to talk about this product and ultimately sell this product. Because right now they're running ads on LinkedIn. And I don't know if any C-suite executives are going to buy the product from seeing an ad on LinkedIn. I think you got to have some door-to-door people actually talking to the C-suite executives, getting their foot into the door and penetrating different markets. This is also a really good sign because if you're hiring 1,000 people, generally when a company is hiring people, it means they have the capacity and the ability to afford hiring them, right? You don't hire 1,000 people if you don't have the money to pay them. And, we know that Palantir pays well. Now, all these 1,000 people are not going to get crazy amounts of stock and like engineering salaries, but they're probably going to get some decent salaries and some commission-based salaries based upon the incentives they have to actually close deals and get the job done. So hiring 1,000 people to me is extremely bullish because in the most barest of barest markets that we're having right now, to the point where Palantir today dropped to $11.99, and I couldn't buy because it always bounces from $11.99. I'm trying to get it in the 11s. They're hiring 1,000 people. It's like, that's insane. It's like the stock price is dropping to astronomically low levels from its all-time high, and they're hiring more people. That to me means there's a fundamental disconnect, and I've said this over and over again, but it's really important to internalize this, between the company you've invested in and the stock price that reflects the macro level economic trends around the company you've invested in. And it's not just Palantir, it's all other high growth tech companies. So when a company is getting its stock demolished and they're hiring 1,000 people and hiring the guy who led $16 billion of revenue in sales as their new VP of sales, that to me means forget the stock price. It's an amazing dip, and this company is doing amazing things. Additionally, Paula Pierre is thrilled to announce that we have finally launched Palantir Technologies Dutchland. I should be saying that right. After Palantir Technologies France, this is our second account in Europe. They are officially launching in Germany, and Paula is the head of data protection, privacy engineering, and public policy at Palantir Technologies. Now, she writes that this is an important milestone for me, both personally and professionally. I joined Palantir in New York 5 years ago, but decided to move back to Germany because I quickly realized this is where support for our business was needed the most. I am proud to have accompanied the rapid growth of our office in the beautiful Munich and look forward to sharing the important work Palantir is doing in Germany and the EU more broadly going forward. This is a really big deal, not only because you're opening up a new account, and Palantir has worked with France for a while. Alex Karp has really talked about the fact that a lot of institutions in France end up using Palantir. They're opening up another account in Germany, and Germany is a big deal because Germany is where a lot of the world's supply chains go through. I mean, Germany is one of the biggest leaders when it comes to supply chain, which is why, she writes in her post, our motto in Germany is patience for those who have time. From securing supply chains and managing the energy transition to the future of healthcare, many data-driven challenges have yet to be addressed. I'm excited about the contributions we at Palantir can make in Journey and impatient to get started indeed. She's ready. She's like, let's go for it. Let's do it. Let's build up Germany. Couple things in Germany. Merck KGaA, Palantir partnered with them back in November and specifically to launch a new supply chain platform, specifically to help them with their supply chain. Merck KGaA is a pharmaceutical and medical devices company in Germany, or their headquarters are in Germany, and they have a lot of supply chain processes. Palantir partnered with them to make sure that their supply chains could be more efficient and productive. That's a pretty big company that they're working with in Germany. Additionally, SAP headquarters are in Germany. SAP is a German multinational software corporation. You guys probably know what SAP is. They've been around for a long time, have over 102,000 employees worldwide, and they are Germany's most valuable brand, growing 9% of their top line revenue to $55.6 billion. I mean, that's pretty insane, right? So you're talking about a huge country in Germany, or country in Europe. You're talking about them being one of the world's center for supply chains, because a lot of the world's supply chains go through Germany. You're talking about another multinational software corporation being in Germany. And then you're talking about the fact that Palantir is already working with a lot of German partners like Merck KGaA, and now they're going to be working with them a lot more intimately as they expand into Germany. So a couple of stats to help you understand why Germany is so important, especially in supply chain. Germany is the largest economy in the EU and is the second most populous country. It is the fifth largest economy in the world. Typical manufacturing products made in Germany include machinery, vehicles, machine tools, electronics, food and beverages, textile and shipbuilding. It is among the world's largest and most advanced producers of iron, steel, coals, chemicals, and cement. A couple more stats. Supply chain infrastructure for manufacturing, transportation, and communication are robust in Germany. Coupled with its advantaged location in Europe, this fact makes Germany an excellent location for manufacturing and distribution. Shipping, there are 318 airports with paved runways in Germany, which move about 6.9 billion kilometers of goods in 2015. The healthy air infrastructure ensures that manufactured goods and raw materials can move quickly to and from all parts of the globe because of Germany's unique location. Germany also ranks number 7 in the world for kilometers of rail, 12th in the world for roads, and 18th for inland waterways, making it fast and easy to ship by almost any method across all parts of the world that export and import things from Germany. The country has major seaports on the Baltic Sea and container ports in Bremen and Hamburg. There are also numerous river ports and an LNG terminal for import and oil terminal in the Bushnell Canal. Whether you choose to ship by rail, water, truck, or air, the movement of goods is fast and efficient, which makes Germany one of the biggest places in the world for supply chain logistics to get done. This is why being in Germany is so important, because a lot of those raw materials that the world gets for all of the use and products that they create, not all of those are just coming from China. I know a lot of things are made in China, but a lot of the supply chains that are involved for the raw materials for them to eventually become your pencil or your water bottle or whatever else it is before it gets to China happens in Germany first, which means a lot of manufacturers, a lot of third-party vendors, a lot of subcontractors exist in Germany, and they have supply chains. And guess what? There is still a little bit of a pandemic going on that is messing up supply chains. We've had earnings from a lot of big tech companies over the past couple months, the past couple days. Tesla has said there's supply chain problems. Apple has said there's supply chain problems. And even though those companies are getting through those supply chain problems, they have guided in their forecasts over the next couple of months or quarters to not expect insane growth because they just don't know when these supply chain shortages are going to clear up. The fact that most of these are a unique, significant amount of these companies from a qualitative and quantitative perspective are in Germany and doing things with supply chain and are sort of the center of where supply chain gets done, and Palantir is now opening up operations there, means to me They're hiring 1,000 people. They got a new guy who cares about sales. They're opening locations in one of the world's biggest epicenters for supply chain shortages and supply chain logistics. Means that they're trying to go after a whole new market. And that market is going to be extremely crucial because when we're talking about commercial expansion, I mean, just imagine in the next couple of quarters if Palantir can get 100, 200 different subcontractors, not even using the entire sort of suite of tools they have at the like $8 million contract level, but even shorter deals, but just going in wide and casting a wide net and getting hundreds and 200 and, thousands of people, contractors in Germany using Foundry for supply chains. How much brand presence will that bring? How much publicity will that bring to the brand internally within Germany, and how much revenue will that be able to create? Because now you're working with companies that aren't Fortune 500 companies, but companies that still heavily rely on your product. How much more expansion opportunities is that going to bring for Palantir in other parts of Europe besides Germany and France? To me, this is a phenomenal deal, and this is really bullish for what they're getting done right now. So those are my thoughts. Palantir is making moves. I mean, these three things came out relatively within the past couple days. A new guy to lead sales that did $16 billion of revenue at the old place, and the old place was Oracle. 1,000 new employees that are probably going to be expanding into sales, and then opening a location in one of the largest countries in the world for supply chains and manufacturing, and trying to really hone down the process of being able to get more and more clients within that location and ultimately keep expanding. Really good stuff. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We are making moves. The stock price does not reflect the reality of what's going on in this company, and part of being an investor is doing the due diligence and keeping up with these updates so you know that as the stock price gets battered, your company is doing things that are going to lead it, in my opinion, for exponential growth in the future. This is amazing news. Hope you guys enjoy. Thank you guys for watching. Looking forward to the comments. I'll see you in the next one.